Hello and welcome to the Empower Couples podcast, where here you get modern, non-boring relationship advice for you and your partner to communicate like pros, fight smarter, and stay on the same team no matter the challenge that you face. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Freeman.
And I'm Jocelyn Freeman, but you all just know us as the Freemans.
And this is navigating stressful situations without turning on each other. And mind you, I woke up at 1 a.m. to our daughter having thrown up on herself in the bed. Mm-hmm. Got that all cleaned up in like half hour, 40 minutes, got her back to sleep. Woke up this morning at 5 to our dog throwing up on our new carpet.
And this was also with me getting half a night's sleep because I had a hard time sleeping after this movie we watched before bed. So we're running on low sleep today.
Well, it's just funny because stress. There are a number of places where we're experiencing stress, and we talk to couples every day, and we really wanted to cover this idea about stress. Now, the part I wanted to start with is really this understanding. We mentioned it on a podcast before, but you're going to experience external stress in your personal life as well as in your shared life with your partner. I'm saying that very specifically that way. And that's a lot of times unavoidable. And you do your best, we do our best, the humans do their best to plan, to predict, to make agreements, to have schedules, to follow through on those schedules in a timely manner. And all that does help avoid those foreseeable external stresses. And there is going to always be those that we just cannot foresee. Mm-hmm. For example, did not foresee that eating that one strawberry from Costco that our daughter would then throw up in the middle of the night everywhere. It was red. It was a lot. Mm-hmm. Or that when I woke up a few hours later, my dog was going to throw up crayons on our new carpet. So those things are going to happen. And the other side of the stress, though, is the relational stress. So the external is going to happen. You plan, predict, try to keep it from happening. But then those things do. And I admit that I came down the stairs this morning.
Little hot.
And so I was like...
A little bit of fire there.
There was some... Yeah, and I said, I need help. And I was trying to be quiet to not wake up our daughter who was trying to sleep. So I come downstairs and I need your help to clean up the throw up that Ellie has everywhere.
And mind you, I was doing some creative work. I was doing some writing.
She's like meditating down there. So the thing is that it's then how you handle the life stress or the external stress, and then whether you amplify it by adding relational stress to it. Mm-hmm. And so when you don't handle it that well, you kind of take this external and now you bring it into the marriage, and now you amplify it, and then you turn against each other. Mm. And in that state of the two of you now disconnected or feeling blamed or it's tense, it's very hard to be decisive, to make the right decisions, or even from keeping it from getting worse.
Yeah.
So the relational stress is such a magnification that doesn't allow you to really be in the best decision-making process for the external stress, which is already a different piece that you need to handle.
And I think we all can agree that for the most part, we know we can navigate those external stressors. Even when it really stinks, we usually believe, all right, this is temporary, we can get through it. It becomes discouraging, though, when we aren't side by side, hand in hand, a team working through it together. Mm-hmm. What you said about turning on each other is so discouraging. It makes it feel like the world is falling apart, and you lose sight of the fact that you will get through it, because you don't just want to survive it, and we'll get more into some specifics, but you want to get through stressful situations and moments on the other side, feeling like, wow, we were such a team. I don't feel alone in this. I've got someone who's got my back, and I've got theirs.
Even say not even on the other side, like during.
True.
That was really key for us. Many of you have heard our story about 3 years ago and that bad investment. And
almost
there's really everything. Something to say about this is feeling very significant and significantly negative in my life. And Yeah, obviously your brain plays out like the catastrophe and the worst case scenario. And even with that, if you play that out and you're like, well, at least it's the two of us,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
then whatever that worst case scenario is on the outside, it is lessened by that feeling in that moment of, well, at least we're doing this together.
Exactly. Now, we'll share a little bit more of some of the greater stress going on for us, but we talk to couples all day, every day in sessions. And so we get a lot of insider insight into the very real things couples deal with. And so just to get a picture so you don't feel alone, here's just a few recent ones that have come up for couples. Discovering that there is a high amount of mold in the house and suddenly needing to move. And by suddenly, within 10 days, with children, with jobs, having to clean every single item that you own or having to get rid of them because you don't want to bring that mold into the new place. Another one, financial strain from leaving a job where there was an NDA and you had to sit out of that job type for 12 months. Okay, that's a bit of strain there. Having a sick relative and needing to be away from your immediate family to take care of that person, not just for a week, months. One of you gets a new job with longer hours, and now that puts additional weight on one of you with home responsibilities and kids and trying to, be the best parent, but you're navigating the home all by yourself. And now you're trying to, do life even from afar, right? One of you being on the road often. Or like us, just last night, kid throws up in the middle of the night, you lose half a night's sleep, and yet you also have, because this happened to us, we had a very important meeting at 9 a.m. That is not something you can reschedule, and we have to be on top of our game. And so I do want to share, because I don't want to minimize that of like any of us can get through a rough night of sleep, right? But we're in a season where it's also good stress. And this is a point we want to make, is that I'm sure you can relate to moments where it's what you would call bad stress. It's not ideal things. Those ones I listed, the mold, the being apart for months, the financial strain, that would be in the category of things that don't feel great, right? In the bad category. But there's also good stress too. Like right now, we're in a season where it's good things. We are going to Ohio for the first time for a summer. We got a little summer place there because it helps my family member have a place to live. And then we get to be away from the hot summer months in Arizona. And though we have a deadline and there's a lot to get done before we go there, closing up this house and getting packed up and getting ready. We also just got a huge business deal. We can't tell you yet what it is. We will soon be able to announce, but it's huge and there's a lot to do. There's deadlines, there's timelines, there's a lot of positive pressure. It's a good thing, but it still adds some stress to the nervous system. And just also managing our business. And I guess there is one more exciting thing. We have one of our biggest guest interviews that we were on, Ed Mylett. If you guys don't listen to him already, he has been one of our favorite podcasters for years, was on our vision board to one day be on his podcast. And it comes out the day that you're hearing this episode. It also comes out on his podcast. And we talked about some things, you guys, that we've not talked about on any other podcast. So by the way, please go support it to show him that people will like to hear from the Freemans. So type into YouTube, Ed Mylett and the Freemans, and listen to it and write a comment. Let his team know that it was a good idea to have us on. So that's positive pressure. Like, oh my gosh, we're about to be on this huge podcast. And that's all exciting. One more thing. We've wanted to make our podcast even better for you guys. And so we have started to record future episodes on video in a very high production studio. And so that's taken a ton of time because you don't film just one at a time. You film 4 hours worth. And it's so much work in the outlines and getting ready and getting prepared to be on camera. Now, again, we're sharing that all to say, I'm sure you can relate to times where it is good stress, but it still adds pressure to the relationship.
And then how often do you have these good things happening, but because it's in this stress category, all of a sudden, and I'm calling myself out, you walk downstairs, you're anxious, you make a quick comment to your partner, you say, I need help from you, you're not helping me, why are you just sitting there? So it's just so easy, whichever category of stress, good or bad, on the external side, and this is, I guess, on a side note, is we've been talking a lot about the upper limit as well, which is from the book, The Big Leap. But that's something about how stress can kind of turn us into, well, enemies, adversaries, opponents. And all of a sudden, you think to yourself, this season should have been full of celebration. Like, these are only amazing things that are a part of our dream life. And yet my current experience is this one of anxiety, and then you're disconnected, also feeling a little bit upset or frustrated or discounted from your partner, right? And when that happens, it's really hard to celebrate wins in your life when you and your partner are more or less at odds with each other. So just really paying attention to how that relational stress, how you handle these external stresses, good or bad, the relational stress is a magnifier. And that's really what we wanted to talk about today, is like, how do we really handle these things so that stress can stay positive? Because the good stress can give you urgency. It can be inspirational. It can motivate you. It can be something that, this is your term, for whatever reason, last couple of weeks, gets you off your laurels.
Don't get too comfortable.
That you've been a little comfortable and your soul is actually calling you to grow in a particular way that you've been subconsciously avoiding. And so this external stress comes up because it's go time. You came to this life to develop something and you haven't been doing it. And that was another session this past week where that came up with a couple, and that was kind of the underlying theme there. So all that's going to happen. So how do you really handle this? Because these are all going to happen, but that you just don't turn against each other.
So for the first point, one major aha that a couple had as we were working with them, and they actually had a different stressor we didn't mention, and it could be like part bad, part good. It's like getting ready for summer break and both of you trying to work, but also having to navigate camps and kids all over the place and schedules. And here's the thing that really clicked for them. It is so much easier to work through those stressful times when you two are emotionally connected. And here's the thing. When you're stressed out, when you're busy, what usually takes the backseat first? Your emotional connection. So you can see how that doesn't lend towards feeling united. Now, I know when you hear that, you're probably like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's true. What happens when you're stressed is, because you think, oh, we have to get into solution mode, we have to make fast decisions, we have to be in go mode, there's a lot to get done, you can bypass any of the conversations even about how you're feeling. And then no wonder you're not receptive to each other. So you're just trying to get to logic mode, solution mode. No, we should do this. Hey, what about this? Hey, I need you to do this. And you aren't on the same energetic and emotional wavelength. So you're interpreting each other's tone and words through this lens of,
you're trying to control me and
you're
just tell me what to do, and you're not considering my opinion.
And a big theme in that is that you aren't taking some time to emotionally check in first. Now, what does that look like? It can be as simple as what Aaron and I did 15 minutes before this podcast, where I just was like, I just need to vocalize. I feel really overwhelmed right now. And just kind of being able to express it, and you being able to just hear it. And thankfully, you didn't jump right to solution mode. You even asked, hey, do you want me to go to solution mode right now? Or do you want me to just listen? And just sometimes giving voice to how you're feeling, it makes you able to get then into solution mode. Maybe not always in that same conversation. Sometimes there's a gap between, let's just check in on each other and how we're feeling, and not just say, oh, I feel busy. Get more honest than that. Talk about how you're really doing and create a safe space for the two of you to vocalize it. Don't judge each other's feelings, because you might have different experiences. Like right now, I was like, I feel overwhelmed and stressed, and it was actually affecting my vision in my left eye. And you're a little bit more even keel, hey, I know we're going to get things done and it's going to be okay. And you didn't expect me to be where you are. And that's really nice in a relationship is to create that space for both experiences. So again, to button up my point is don't bypass being emotionally connected. Connect and check in on how each of you are feeling. Listen to each other. Let that be. And then whether it's later in that conversation or maybe it's a conversation later, then get into solution and logic mode.
Yeah, I think one of the things for the men I wanted to point out, in what you're saying, I could see that there's really two things. I could have tried to provide a solution, and I think there's also another aspect where and I kind of tend to do this still. I'm trying to provide a logical viewpoint to have you feel better. So I wasn't even trying to say, like, here's a solution. But, like, for example, I was trying to say, we don't want to live a life where all of our dreams are coming true and the things that we do in our life that are our purpose and that we enjoy are things that cause us stress. And honestly, there's like nothing wrong with that statement, but it's just realizing in the moment, is that what's going to serve my partner? And sometimes in my body, it's like, oh, I just really need to say this. And it's not really about you. I think I've heard men say that, well, I'm just trying to help relieve the pain or support you or let you know that I'm on your side. But if you really think of it, is it really for them? Because if you were really connected to what they needed, you might not say anything, or you might just give a hug or a physical touch. But I noticed for myself that it's kind of disguised as, well, I'm only saying this to help you. It's like, well, were you open to sharing it or not sharing it? And in my own body, it's like, well, I got to say this. It's like when they were walking upstairs to do this podcast, well, I just need to say this thing. It's like at that point, it's clearly not for you.
Oh.
It's something for me that I have to get this out.
That's so good.
So it's just it's kind of a slippery thing that the ego does. Oh, no, this is supportive. Well, if it was supportive, you could let it go.
Yeah, true. Okay, that's so good. Second point that comes to me, and this was relevant when you did come down a little hot this morning, because, yeah, you had to be up in the middle of the night, and I had a hard time sleeping before that, and then the dog puked, and you came down the stairs, and because I didn't know that was happening upstairs, the dog puking. You come down, you have this huff and puff, right? And you're like, Ellie puked up there. Can you help me? And for a moment,
it was whispered though, because it was
you not yelling, but just like the energy of frustration was there.
definitely.
And here's the key: I had a split second to decide. I can either take this personally and make this a thing, or recognize, I know he was up in the middle of the night. I know it stinks that our dog probably stained our furniture, our carpet. What is a supportive response right now? This doesn't need to be a thing right now. And so this is the second coaching point, is that when you're in particularly stressful moments, you have to be very discerning about how you respond to each other's stress, and to not, of course, make it like an open field for, you can be a total jerk for 3 months straight and, not regulate your emotions. I'm not taking it that far. But if there are these exceptions of, you being a little frustrated and stressful, I need to be discerning of what's a supportive response right now. That my job right now is to de-escalate the situation. And it's very easy to lose sight of that if the ego is running the show, because you're like, oh, it's 5 a.m. Why are you coming down like this? And don't say it to me. I didn't know the dog was throwing. I could get into all of that about me. And that's all the ego. That's all unnecessary. What you needed was just for me to say, okay, coming up. Like, all right, I'm with you.
Should I admit the subversive thought process I had going on?
Okay.
I hadn't even said it to you.
Oh, great. Let's do some open therapy here right now.
Because, man, the sequence of events. So in the middle of the night, I know we're saying this over and over again, but so our daughter throws up, And I heard her crying or just saying, I couldn't tell what she was saying. She was saying, Daddy, Daddy, like I need help. Something is on me. And so I didn't even know until I turned on the light. And it took me a minute to like figure out, oh my gosh, this is a lot of throw up. And how she was laying, it got all over her face, all over her hair. It was all over her pajamas. And she was sad. And she was telling me, oh, my PJs are all covered in throw up. And it was all over the sheet. It was all over the mattress. And my first thought was, I'm going to go wake you up. Like, I'll help Sky. And I had to bathe her. I'm having to shampoo it out of her hair. And just, I did it in a very nice way. Her and I were even starting to like just kind of play a little bit.
And if for quick context,
but in my mind, I'm like, I did this so supportive of you. I'm like, I can wake Jocelyn up and you probably wouldn't have had a problem with it. Someone needs to do the bed and one of us do Sky. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do both. And so, and I had no problem with it because I've been doing a lot of like this internal work. And so I felt so good I handled all that. Sky and I had a nice moment. She went back to sleep. I assume now that she's going to sleep later. So I'm going to be able to wake up and have this extra time in the morning. And then what I wake up to is the dog immediately throwing up. I've already done throw up.
Yeah.
The bathroom already has all the sheets rolled up with Sky. And I'm now having more throw up. I'm like, oh, heck no.
Right.
And I go down there and I'm like, in my mind, you already got to sleep in, and I held back. You're going to be coming up here and helping me out with this.
Right. Almost like you need to spread the misery. Like,
yeah.
But okay, for context, because I don't want people to like have a quick assumption about me. I'm actually a very light sleeper. So the only reason I didn't wake up to that is I had just fallen asleep shortly before that because it took me 2 hours to fall asleep. And so I think I had just gotten into deep REM. So for context, I would not normally just be laying there.
However I'm portraying it, I could have just gotten the throw up from our dog too and handled both of those. And yeah, so I'm just always looking at, that was an external stress magnified by another external stress. That's frustrating because I don't want my carpet to be stained. And then it's like I go down and I really had the potential to create the relational stress. So I really appreciated that you just came up and helped me and it wasn't a thing. And then we came back down and I came down second. So if you remember, I came down and said, oh, what a great morning. Like
afterwards,
afterwards. I just woke up.
To almost be like, let's start over. Okay, so the coaching point, to make it very clear before we move on from that, is be very discerning. What is a supportive response right now? My main job in these stressful times is to help de-escalate situations, to not take every little thing personally, to recognize when my partner is stressed. And it doesn't mean, again, we're not excusing the fact that you both are responsible for regulating your emotions. That should be the baseline, right? That should be aim for 95%, right? This is an arbitrary number. But there's going to be exceptions. And so you've got to be able to recognize those points. Okay, so next thing.
Let me ask you this question, because this is a place where, typically we'll hear a difference between men and women. So we've had lots of situations with couples that we coach where a husband would say something like, we just approach problems differently. It's like, I'm gathering the information and the data that's required to make an informed or good decision. And this isn't like the only way we hear it, right? But then the wife will say in different scenarios, I have intuition about this. And I feel like you're not trusting my intuition and are not understanding the urgency and the importance that I feel that you trust me enough to move forward without needing to go find all the data and all the information.
That's a very common theme, and two words stand out to me that I think we need to underline: urgency and trust. And when you're having these conversations, because this is all about staying on the same team, this is all about not turning on each other, right? Navigating these together. It is not just firing back answers to each other. No, this is what I think. No, this is what I think. It's like, hey, let's slow down and understand each other's urgency level. And also appreciate that, yes, we do make decisions differently, and one is not better than the other. How do we incorporate both of the different ways that we make decisions? And so, okay, I'm hearing that for you, data, information, research is important. All right, let's do some of that. Hey, I also run off my intuition a lot. I feel this is an urgency moment for us. I feel like we need to act a little swiftly. Okay, how do we incorporate some of that urgency? So I think it's that open-mindedness and very much incorporating both of your strengths. Like your strengths and your differences do not have to battle against each other. It really is the mindset of let's incorporate both of these perspectives together, always looking for that win-win solution. Mm-hmm. Then the second word I highlighted, right, was around trust. And that is when we dig a little deeper with couples, that is often something that becomes illuminated, is where there's maybe these cracks in being able to trust each other in these times. And sometimes that stems from past situations where they felt like, see, all along, I told you this was happening. This was important. We needed to do something. You didn't listen to me. And so there's like this wound there that's now showing up in the present situation. And so sometimes it's past related. Other times it's, maybe we need to regroup on, like, do we trust each other and our partnership and our differences? And I know that's a big, big word to think about with trust, but just take a moment to just check out whatever you're dealing with right now, or maybe it was just a recent season, something stressful that you went through. Could you really say, okay, even if my partner operates differently, they process things differently, they go at different speed, different than mine, they think differently, I trust that they've got my back. I trust that they're a teammate. I trust that we're headed in the same direction for the same outcome. And that's just a very good question to gauge where there might be some conversations to come together and strengthen that trust. Because that's a big theme for us. I mean, you and I'll just kind of round out with this. We have completely different paces of operating, right? Sometimes I'm too quick and then I'm...
We?
It
doesn't seem to me that's that different.
It's changed now. I think it used to be a much bigger contrast. I think we've really learned each other's rhythms now. But I will sometimes be like, no, we need to go faster or make this decision faster. And you'll kind of be like, wait, I think we look at this and we look at that. But here's the thing, if we're to boil it down, I do trust that we're headed towards the same outcome. I trust that we have each other's backs. I trust we trust each other's integrity and follow through. And so I would just contemplate that a bit and use that as a gauge for what deeper conversations you two may need to have in order to just feel that rock solid sense of we are a team, we can handle anything. It's going to stink sometimes. You guys, couples go through really hard, stressful situations that aren't fun, but that's lifing. And we don't want to resist it. Sometimes we have to surrender to what is happening and say, all right, this is happening, but how is this giving us an opportunity to become better individuals and a better partnership? That is the lens you could be looking at this through. And so I think that's just a really good way to button this up. I hope that our stories, our examples, some of these mindset reframes and perspectives are helpful. And if they are, by the way, will you write us a review on whichever platform that you're listening on? That makes such a difference. Or send us a message. And I do want to link to one thing. When I talked about emotional connection and that being such an important buffer for these stressful times, I know that 99% of you said, wow, that is so true. And maybe you don't feel completely emotionally connected right now, or maybe your communication isn't totally on point and you could be even better. That is the perfect reason to start our 30-day Prioritizing Us Couples Challenge. And at the time of hearing this, it might be open for like 1 or 2 more days to sign up. So go to mycoupleschallenge.com curveballs.com. You will see why over 40,000 couples around the world have loved these prompts. Men love them, women love them, the testimonials, every day we receive new ones. And they blow me away because it really is about that when you two are connected, you do feel like a team. There isn't anything that you can't handle in any season. So again, go to mycoupleschallenge.com. It's just an absolute must. It's incredible. And with that, you guys, we really hope today's episode was valuable and relevant. Again, it makes a difference if you can write a review for us. Make sure you're subscribed. So hit that subscribe button if you aren't already. And like we said, we are starting to record our episodes video starting July. So keep a lookout. You're going to want to be subscribed on YouTube. The video production's incredible. We've got a lot of exciting episodes coming up, some really juicy content. So make sure you're subscribed. And with that, you guys, we will talk on the next episode.